Today we're going to go through all the different types of Monstera deliciosa Thai Constellation and show you the different various variegations that have come out of this plant. Because it has a lower genetic fidelity, that's essentially the strength of the plant's genetics, so it has a higher propensity to change its visible genetics to produce cooler colors. So we're going to go through around 10 of these different varieties of the Thai Con and show you the different characteristics of the plant, and then ideally we can see some of the prices too. Okay, kicking it off with a classic. Again, a disclaimer for people, these are not properly accepted cultivars, but they are cultivated types of Thai Constellation that differ from the original parent plants. Of course, we have V1 and V2, just kidding, but we actually do. But here on the screen, you see a classical creme brulee, which many times has also been historically called the cheesecake, and it just has a dominant patching system of the yellow flecking of the Thai Constellation, whereas this is a TC Thai Con we grew up out in 2018, and it just generally has more of like a green coloring. She's super pretty, but as you can tell, it's just a different plant. Creme brulee also has a ton of the flecking through the leaves, again in that yellow. Cheesecake is pretty accurate in the shade of yellow that it is. It's like a off-white. Doesn't get very yellow or green like something like the electrolyte, which we'll get into. But this really was one of the first variants of Thai Con variegation that people started to notice and point out, and it pissed a lot of people off. In the US, you should be able to get a Monstera Thai Con creme brulee for under $500, probably like about $300 to $500. There you go, Thai Con, $500, ships from Washington. Keep in mind that while we're going through this, these plants are developed in tissue culture, so they're subjected to a whole lot of hormones and different chemicals, even for sterilization, that something like a Monstera albo isn't subjected to because it's just propagated through vegetative cuttings instead of in that agar gel with plant growth regulators, and oftentimes that's what creates these mutations of colors.
This is the variegated barley marks.
That's crazy.
So it's got great variegation. It's a US plant that was found from a green bottle. Someone bought a green bottle.
Okay.
And they grew it up a little bit and got lucky, you know?
So next up we have the Medusa, which definitely looks like its genetics have been changed. I don't know if the plant is too happy about it, but this is derived from the Thai Con, and it gets like a snarling of the leaves. You can see like a twist, but you can see that it definitely came from the Thai Con. And then many times there's a bit of a patchwork on the underside. Mike MDA 1635 showed us this down in Florida at IAS last year. There's that patchwork on the back. Sometimes it's called Monstera Tattoo. Again, don't get mad at me for the names. These are just what people oftentimes in Thailand, because that's where a lot of where they come out of. That patchwork of, look, it looks like a little bit of like a dark green tattoo on the backside. They'll get that name from. There you go. It's very prominent in this photo. Wow, this is actually a Medusa here in the US. This is coming from Apopka, Florida. Big houseplant hub down there in Florida. And this is a proper Medusa. That is actually a Medusa. Wow. And it's $5,800. It says exact plant, 6-inch, looks like a cutting. Clearly it's from Thai Con. Looks unhealthy to me, honestly. Just looks like pissed off. Something happened to it and it's not all right. All right, next up we have the Monstera Electrolyte. This one I actually really like. I think it has a really beautiful lime green dominant color instead of that cheesecake yellow patchwork of the Thai Con. So it has that fun Aurea. It's like an Aurea Thai Con almost. And that contrasts so beautifully with the deep hunter green down in this lower leaf. I love that look. And then the flecking of the constellation pattern. This we went over in the last video. There's another one of them. In the wrong angles, they look a lot like just a typical Thai Con, but I assume in person, there's a really pretty one, almost with like creme brulee style of variegation, but in lime green patterning. There's one up close, definitely showing its difference from typical Thai Con. Yeah, and we had those in last week's video from when Sean went to the Bangkok plant convention, but we'll give a Google to see what these are going for domestically. Okay, nothing immediately pops up domestically for the electrolyte, but referencing last week's video, it looks like $8,100 in Thailand still. So really friggin' expensive. As I said, I think last week, I'm not down. It's too expensive. Super pretty. I mean, 100 times the price of that or so. All right, this plant almost looks fake. This is my favorite version of the Tycon. This is the tricolor. I still think it should be called the Tricon. And it shows all 3 versions of the variegation. The splotching of the Tycon, but also with that aurea-like green yellow. You can see the mutation going on just in the leaf. That's an unhappy plant. That is just friggin' stunning. Look at that lower leaf. The flecking with the aurea. This is definitely one of my favorites. So pretty. Now they're calling this one the Monstera Starlight. So I did not include that. I included the versions that have been replicated over and over and have characteristics that we can point out. Now it might get a little fuzzy later on when we talk about Legacy and Green Snow. This is a classical tricolor. Wow, this is a stunning plant. I've really never seen them on video. Yeah, and it seems very happy. The leaves are super dark green, like a hunter green, with the flecking and then that aurea like through them. Yeah, I'm a sucker for that plant for sure. Let's see if they're domestic or what they are out in Asia. So I couldn't find any tricolor domestically on eBay or Etsy or anything like that or people's websites, but I went back to the video with Mike at IAS and he was selling the tricolor for $10,000. There's another tricolor and you can see that it grew up from that tissue culture level because of those smaller leaves. And next up we have the Monstera Mint Siam. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure whether or not this derives from Tycon, but hey, there is the first tag is Monstera Constellation. So I'm pretty sure, especially with the inner fenestrations, the large, wide leaves, that the Mint Siam or Siam Mint is from the line, the original line of Constellation. And here's another one. And again, they tag Creme Brulee. So I'm just going to go with it. It's that or it's a seed-grown sport. But you can see the flecking throughout the leaves. It has definitely like minty vibes for sure. I've always said I've thought the Tycon and the mint were very closely related. There is the Siam Mint. This one, like some of the other Monsteras, looks like you've taken some like acetone or nail polish remover and like remove the chlorophyll. So it gets that bit of like a patching, like it's been erased. But there's another Siam Mint. Maybe it's derived more from the mint side. Okay, here is one of my, I guess, more favorite plants. This is Deliciosa Starlight. Wow, and then there you go. I mean, from the variegation patterns, it looks like this definitely came from Tycon, from that yellow patterning, then with that absolutely absurd flecking. It's like a full meteor shower on the leaves. Here's one again, struggling. Like they said, damage from stress and shipping, but these plants there's a mutation going on that some of them are just not too happy with. And here's a gorgeous one from Laniata House. They always post the Starlight. I actually got a video of it. One time I couldn't find it right now. It just shows the absolute stunning pattern of a very consistent splotching of variegation through these deep green leaves. So that is the Monstera Starlight. All right, next up, we're going to try and sort through probably the hardest ones to differentiate in the Tycon, different varieties or the different variations, and that is the Green Snow, the Legacy, and the Platinum. Okay, I would say that probably the easiest one to tell apart from those 3 is the Green Snow, and the green gives it away for us. There we go. Okay. It just has that like slightly more lime version of the creme brulee yellowing with a ton of the speckling. That's where I think a lot of the confusion, at least for me, comes from. When you look at something that's tagged as the Legacy or the Platinum, it just looks like an OG V1 Tycon that has just crazy variegation, but it's a little more on the green side, closer to like the electrolyte green, but obviously not fully there. Okay, this is tagged as creme brulee. That definitely looks like a classic creme brulee. And then you see the minting. I'm touching the screen as if you can see that. You can see the minting going on through the yellow variegation. That multiple layers of variegation of that green and the yellow stacked on top of each other is pretty classical for the creme brulee. Look, they call this one the Milky Way. We did not acknowledge that one. They're claiming this to be Green Snow. What do we think? I don't know. Looks like a normal Tycon. I mean, it looks like a dope Tycon. Like, looks like a very pretty Tycon. Maybe there's that little flecking of like microgreen specks in there. That's a really pretty leaf. But I always thought that was like platinum. But I don't know. I don't know with these three. Really tough. This looks like classical green snow. There you go. Maybe they pumped up the colors on this one, but has just that very vibrant, like burned yellow. It just looks overly contrasted, high saturation. And this looks like platinum, to be real with you. This looks like, let's translate this. Tagged as Monstera Green Snow. See, and then people are like, which one is this? And someone's like, Legacy. I mean, and then it's tagged as Legacy Green Snow. But to me, this is it. This is green snow. And variegated_plant is one of the they recently just bought the Devil Monstera and they cut it. I posted it on our Instagram. Look, they took a cutting of the Devil Monstera. I think that maybe they bought it at the recent Thai show, but look at that top cutting of the plant. They have some of the most wild plants, and they have for years and years and years on Instagram. So check them out. I'm going to grab some of their photos for the green snow. Hopefully they can give us a little clarity on that. There you go. So in this photo, they say Monstera Green Snow and Legacy. So, I mean, which is which? I mean, you're just splitting hairs at this point. Maybe someone could enlighten me. If you know, drop it down in the comments. But I feel like the green snow is the more green version, and the Legacy is just like a super high Ver Tycon. It's not Creme Brulee, if that makes sense. What the hell is this? Oh, this is a Devil Monster. And this one, the one we started with, Monstera Hybrid, they say. And then, yeah, someone says green snow. It looks like green snow to me, too. But hybrid would indicate it has two parents, and it came from pollination. But that yellowing you see in the leaf. Anyways, we'll move on from this one. There's green snow. It looks like this woman's holding very pretty plant. Very, very pretty plant. And just for the prices on a few that I missed, these most recent ones, especially like the Starlight, I've never been given a price on. All right, I guess a lot of people aren't using the name Platinum anymore, but I remember a couple years back. There you go. This one is actually named Green Snow and then tagged as Monstera Platinum Variegata. So maybe they're synonymous. But let's figure out what Legacy is to everyone on the internet. And I'm sure no one will agree. This one is tagged as Legacy. This again looks like a really high Ver Tycon. This is how they used to look like all the time in like 2017, 18, 19. What we would consider like a V1. It's a really, really pretty high Ver plant. This looks like green snow-ish. This looks more to like green snow to me. Maybe not. It has more of like a deeper green, like a muted green with a lot of speckling. All right, this is a special plant. That is a really, really pretty plant. Has like the philodendron blizzard. What is that, like the giganteum like variegation? That's the best way I could describe it. Yeah, there you go. Just like this. It looks almost like the same plant. You could just get a philodendron giganteum. That's just a Tycon. Pretty standard variegation Tycon. Green snow. Tycon Legacy? I don't know. I mean, it's beautiful. And then they're calling this one green snow. So yeah, there's a lot of like weird information out there. Oh, this is pretty cool. This is a Legacy entire plant shipped from California for $9.50. I hope it's the exact plant. Ships for free from Los Angeles. That to me is like a pretty classical Legacy. That deep hunter green and then like just a absolute speckling in every part of the green leaf. That's what I consider to be the Legacy. Back in the day, this was called a Platinum a few years back, I think. There's also the low Ver versions. And remember that what we're seeing is the phenotype. That's the coloring on the surface. And a lot is happening beneath the soil in the genetics of the plant. And it changes how susceptible it can be to things like root rot, pests, and a whole lot of other plant system developments that if we were to fruit the plant, maybe we would have different fruits or different sized flowers on the plant. A lot of that can change also with genetic changes. But of course, we're just worried about the coloring of the plant, and that's what we went through today. So thank you guys for watching this week's video. I know I didn't cover all of the different varieties or cultivars, just different variations of Thai Constellation. If you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up down below. It really helps us out. And consider subscribing if you'd like to get another video about plants next week.